welcome to the Lighter Side Show. I'm your host, Jamie Butler, the Everyday Medium. Today we're going to be trans-channeling Grace as she talks to us about the F.E.E., Fair Energy Exchange. This is going to be a two-part show, so please stay tuned for the second release. Grace is going to talk about the energetics of relationships and people in part one, and then in part two, she's going to talk about the money aspect of the Fair Energy Exchange. But before we get into that, I do have some housekeeping notes. I know you love them. You guys are always asking what we're up to. Here's what we're up to. This month in April, we have the Advanced Mediumship class. If you've already done your studying and you feel aligned with trans-channeling, automatic writing, receiving messages from spirits, then come join us at the Advanced Mediumship class. We're also going to be at the Akashic Ranch in British Columbia, Canada. That's going to be the first weekend of May. We're going to have all kinds of classes, tour of the land. It is a magical place. If you've ever wanted to be somewhere that is alive with tons of phenomena, that's it. Also, stay tuned. We're going to have some classes up on Learn It Live. We're going to be doing Reiki series all over again starting in June. So Reiki 1, 2, and Mastership, 1 a month. And of course, we have monthly channelings. But if just listening to me go blah, 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 blah is too much for you, go to Jamie Butler Medium and sign up for the newsletter. Colleen has everything organized there, and it looks spectacular. Okay, now you know what we're up to. Let's get into the topic of the day, Fair Energy Exchange. Now, when I trans-channel, I need a little bit of moment to get into it, so I'm going to remove jewelry, bracelets, anything that I feel is going to hinder the energy. I wear white because white clothing is the absence of energy, helps me not battle any other different vibrations of energy on my body. That sounded very weird to say out loud, but that's really the reason why I do it. So white clothes. And if you are sensitive and you're watching this video, you might feel a shift. Please know that you're not going to go anywhere. You're going to stay put. I'm the one who's going to make the transition, but sometimes we do feel it. You can have a glass of water, eat a piece of dark chocolate. That's not just a Harry Potter myth. That really does help when you're feeling energetically imbalanced. Okay, I will see you guys later. Enjoy Grace. Bye. Getting comfortable. Bye. Colleen's like, just get a little way. Bye. See ya. Thanks, guys. What was it? Was it this?
Alright, let's go move on.
You can have fun editing that. Hello.
Nice.
It's quite cold in here. The little fingers are frozen. All right. Hello, Lumineers. As we're getting warm over here, I'd like for you to settle in. Whether you're listening with your phone, through your tablet or computer, maybe up on your TV, go ahead and nestle in. Find yourself in a comfortable rhythm, in a comfortable position. And imagine now that you're able to unzip your ears, as if they've always been hearing the sound around you, but now you can absorb all the learning and the energy coming in. So just with your imagination, unzip those ears. Now let's continue this, and I'd like for you to unzip your brain. It's a real fun visual. Imagine there's a zipper right on the front of your forehead, and you're just going to pull it open and all the way back. And here we have this beautiful flower-like exposed head, ears. Everything is quite open energetically. Of course, physically you're fine. Imagine if you were to approach every conversation with this type of openness. It's without filter, absorbing words, messages, information, maybe challenging thoughts, maybe repetitive ones. Today I'm asking for this kind of platform as we talk about the fair energy exchange. A lot of what I might share will sound very plausible, very doable, and the rest might sound a little out of reach. Hence, I require the open mind. Beautiful Lumineers. The fair energy exchange is simply a balance in all that exists. So, if you had pen and paper available, get up now and grab some. If not, your memory will suit you just well. I'd like for you to think or write down 4 to 5 people, things, situations, relationships that feed you energy. What in your life feeds you energy? Is it perhaps the man or woman up the street that always smiles at you when you walk by? Is the one that flirts with you? Is it receiving a paycheck for your work? Is it an intimate relationship or a friendship? Maybe a friend that always keeps a promise and always calls to check in on you. How are you doing? Do you need anything? Perhaps a family member? Or is it a pet? A pet companion that's waiting at the door? What in it, in your life, gives you energy? Now I want you to have those in your head or on paper. And now ask yourself, how do I give energy back to that source? Are you returning the smile? Are you ignoring it? Are you putting in good work in exchange for the money? Are you supporting your family, your friend? Are you also making promises that you follow through with? Are you also calling and asking, how are you? But look at those people and situations in your life that feed you this energy. And if you can't understand the word energy, Lumineers, maybe we look at it and say, what bits and parts of your life provide you with joy and happiness? Since most of you Lumineers are sensitive, we can take it in that direction. So what brings you joy? And what are you giving back to that source of joy? Are some of you recognizing that it's a little imbalanced? That maybe you're more on the receiving end? Or maybe you're noticing you're more on the giving end? An example I like to use on the energetic balance, the fair energy exchange, is a simple conversation. Have you ever been in a conversation with a small group and everybody is chiming in and sharing, and you listen a bit and then you engage a bit and then you listen a bit, and everybody's quite chatty about the topic and it's very lively, it's a wonderful experience. And then we have somebody else that comes in and sits down, and all of a sudden they join the conversation, but yet they kind of monopolize the conversation. They get into a long, deep story. And it's on topic, and it's something everybody wants to hear, and it's very intriguing. But then you recognize that nobody else has said anything. And all of a sudden there's a slight imbalance. And then by the time the person finishes, the table looks at each other and they kind of say, well, there's nothing else to say, and kind of disperses. So here we have an element that came in, was not creating a balance, but using it to fulfill a need. Maybe there was a need to be heard, a need to be seen or accepted. But there was not a balance of energy. There was not a fair energy exchange. When we look at the word fair, I'm not looking to replace the word fair with balance. And by all means, Lumineers, please look at the word balance not as 50-50, not as being an equal, but let's look at it more like a roller coaster ride or maybe a waterbed. Do the waterbeds still exist?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, a waterbed then, because you push down on one side and it floats up on the other. Or when you get into the roller coaster ride, you have these ups and these downs and so forth, but when you average it out, it's all about equal. You were as low as you were high. That is a good balance. That is a fairness that I want to talk about. And so when we observe this conversation example that I was mentioning, this last person came in and did not pay attention to the fair exchange. They gave, and didn't recognize that the people listening, the active listeners, were receiving, and they were receiving too much. And it was too big, and it was too much to hear, too much to hold on to, too much energy in their lap. And there was no way to give it back because there wasn't a balance. Have you had those times in your life? A lot of the Lumineers like to call it the vampire energy. Somebody comes in and just takes, and then leaves. Or somebody comes in and just gives, demands attention, and you feel drained. There is a fee that has been ignored. Now, I want to help you, Lumineers, remove your concept of fee as only being a financial word. That money has to be exchanged if we're using the term fee. I have paid for something, I get a service in return. Because in part 2, we're going to talk about how money is energy. So for now, when we hear the word fee, we're going to think of simply the fair energy exchange. So in any relationship that you have, the relationship with me per se, here I am investing my energy into my words and into my lesson or awareness for you. And in exchange, what you are giving me is the platform to do so. You are giving me your ears. You've willingly unzipped them. And so here we have a fair energy exchange. But if I was doing this for the wall and for no one to hear, I would not be receiving that energy back. And I would create an imbalance. And in doing so, in the human existence, the human body, we begin to look at doubt, failure, weakness, incomplete. When we feel an imbalance of this energy and it's not fair, the human body immediately begins to wire with a lower vibration. It's not fair. This isn't right. I don't get it. It's my fault. I'm not good enough, not worthy, not confident. And we go down the rabbit hole. So if you were to examine every relationship with your children, your pet companions, your money, your furniture, the relationship you have with your home. Your home provides you with security, safety. It meets your needs for protection, warmth. It even applies to the kitchen, the oven, and the refrigerator. So your home gives you nourishment. But in return, are you maintaining it? Are you repairing the plumbing, the electrical, the roof? that would be a fair energy exchange. To believe that you're paying a mortgage for the home is a fair energy exchange, it is not. Because the home is not feeling that money. If you're paying a mortgage, it's going to a third party. It's going to the bank or the person who's holding the loan for you. And so therefore it is a different relationship. If you're putting the money into the maintenance and you're putting the love into the home, then the home is going to feel it. Now some of you Lumineers might smile and say, well, I never thought about my home having a personality. I never was quite aware that my home even needed a fair energy exchange. But this is what I want to provide for you. What really constitutes a relationship is not just between person and person. It's person, inanimate object. It is person to animal, person to plant, person to a situation. Even when you're in a relationship, you have the relationship to the other person and then your relationship to the relationship itself. So there's all these ways to look at where fair energy exchange can show up. So you two in studio, are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Do you have any questions?
I've heard a little bit of this, so this is
Well, I
Jesse's first time.
think also, well, when we first heard about it, it was from Kelly Knight, I think.
Yes.
She's been on several of the Lighter Side episodes. Fantastic. It was a fantastic kind of idea, and I think we brought it kind of to attention because of the different costs associated in kind of practices when it comes to mediumship, psychics, and readings. And maybe an interesting topic would be how does this translate not only to those fields, but like abroad, like if you're gonna like clothing or like when is something a fair energy exchange, and when are you being taken advantage of, or it's just an imbalance?
Oh, wonderful. So in part 2, we'll really talk about the money
That's right.
with the individual, careers like psychics, mediums, complementary healers, energetic healers. But I really like the idea of how do you know that it's not a fair energy exchange?
Mhm.
So when we look at relationships to anything, let's define relationship first of all. To have a relationship, you need to have a belief system. To have a relationship, you need to believe in it. So if you're looking at changing the relationship you have, you must first go to the belief that you have tied up and wrapped around it. If you believe that marriage is forever, once you put a ring on it, that it lasts forever, but yet yours is not, it's having a hard time, then there is going to be quite a gap between your belief and the reality of what's happening. So if we take marriage, for example, and your belief system is that once you put a ring on it, that it's supposed to last forever. Marriage just goes. But yet in your marriage, it's not. It's being very difficult and it feels as if it needs to change. It's not going forever. So you have this gap here. And in this gap, we can clearly say this is your sign that you're not receiving a fair energy exchange. But first, look at your belief system. You have this one belief, but it's not as accurate for the reality that's occurring. So you may need to adjust your belief systems to fit the now that you exist in. Now let's say you've done all of that. You've looked at your belief systems. It's supporting absolutely your now and where you're going and what you're creating. So you're fully aligned. And we're in a relationship and you are putting your whole heart into it. And you're quite aware you are smitten in this relationship. And it feels very good on your part. But in the back of your head, you say, I wish I had more attention. I wish my hand was held more. I wish there was more downtime. So all of these wishes start feeding or explaining a need that you have, but it's really highlighting that there's not a fair energy exchange. And what we can understand with this is that everybody, every living being from tree to animal to person has different value on energy. So let's say your value is a level 10, and that is what you're giving, and you wish to receive level 10 in return. But in this relationship, the opposing, where the energy source is coming from, in your quality, cannot ever reach a level 10. They are maxed at level 6 through your terms, right? We're only looking through your eyes. I want to describe this very much as a human experience. And so here you are wanting the other 4 points, because that is the way that you feel you have a fair energy exchange. I would ask of you, if you find yourself in this position, to take a breath. Because we fall into the trap of, I can identify my need and it needs to come across exactly this way for it to be fulfilled. But we're not observing the energetic source. When we observe the energetic source, the other person, which you feel is not giving 10 but only 6, and you begin to become aware that their level 6 is their 10, then we can change our belief system. We can no longer put the belief that this person can reach your 10, because now you're aware that their 6 is their 10. Hopefully I'm not losing you with all the numbers. Am I?
I think we got it, yeah.
I've repeated it several times so that it kind of laid thick in your head. But to become aware, a fair energy exchange, sourced out, is supposed to be fair with every element involved. If you are now demanding for somebody else to behave differently, well, there's no fair in it at all. That's very important for people to understand. Because when you start saying, well, there's a fee for everything, there's a fair energy exchange for everything, and I'm not getting fairness from you, right? You might be falling into the very narrow-minded human construct of, I know what I need and you must provide it. A fair energy exchange is not defined that way. It's only from the source. It's allowing each person to be responsible for their own strength, for their own being, and what they can provide. And it allows for every source to be understanding of that. What I like about fair energy exchange, it also supports this theory of there are no mistakes. There are no rights and there are no wrongs. Yes, Lumineers, there are no mistakes. So the tantrum you threw this morning, that's not a mistake. The thing you yelled out in the car earlier when somebody cut you off, that's not a mistake. These are all ways for you to experience yourself. And through experience, we're seeking balance. When you have a balance, you create ease. And through this ease of life, abundance grows. If you're looking for a program to sign up for, if you're looking for a belief system to create for yourself, I ask of you to look at the fair energy exchange. Are you giving out what is coming to you? Now, it doesn't have to be the same kind of give. If somebody is giving you love, intimate love, you don't need to be giving intimate love in return. Energy is energy. Like if we take your parents, for example, they give you life. Boom. You've opened up your personal energetic bank. It has begun. And parents continuously invest into your energetic bank. They care for you, they protect you, they feed you, they teach you what they believe is best. And then in return, you're just a little bean. How are you going to provide the same care for an adult? You are not. In return, you give experience. Maybe you give opportunities for challenges. Maybe you give an opportunity for a struggle. Maybe you give an opportunity for a true, intimate, vulnerable love. But you see how the energy is fair enough, back and forth, but it's a different type. Because you put labels on everything here on earth. So we don't need to give the same label of energy back to them, but we do give a balance of energy back and forth. When we feel we have to give the same type of energy back, it is misleading. If someone gives you money, invests money into you, and says to you, go do your good work, that is my payment in return. They are not expecting that money back to them, but yet they are still getting their fair energy exchange. So it's quite important to look at all of your relationships and see where that balance is. And again, balance is not 50-50. It doesn't have to say an eye for an eye. A balance is a bit like a roller coaster, and you take the average means where it levels out. It's a bit like the waterbed. There's give and take. You might give more, but in the next moment you're taking more. But if you find yourself constantly giving and not allowing yourself to receive, we have an imbalance. And in this moment of imbalance, we're creating suffering, disease, pain. But if we create this balance and we maintain this balance, we're creating ease. And within ease, we're creating abundance. That is the belief system that I would love for you to explore and look at. As I said before, if you are looking for something, this is it. And now let's take a moment to pause. I'm going to close off here, but continue to speak about the fair energy exchange in financial terms. And you will definitely want a pen and paper for part 2. Right, my lovely Lumineers, keep shining, be well, and Godspeed.
The lighter side with Jamie. The lighter side with Jamie. The lighter side.